This week is Virginia's first Cycling and Pedestrian Awareness Week. A few weeks ago, the parent of a JMU student was hit and killed by a car while cycling on Port Republic Road in Rockingham County. Last year, 90 people died by walking or cycling on Virginia roadways. In addition to those deaths, more than 700 cyclists and nearly 1,700 pedestrians were injured in Virginia. And joining us now to discuss cycling and pedestrian awareness is Mary Hope Gangwer, Public Information Officer for the Harrisonburg Police Department. Mary Hope, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we're talking about cyclists, pedestrians, and drivers. Let's take each of those groups and see what challenges and problems we have. Let's begin with cyclists.
Frequently we see a lot of cyclists. One moment they'll be driving as a vehicle like they should be, and the next minute, maybe a stop sign or two later, they will kind of act more as a pedestrian. And that's the biggest thing we see with cyclists. It's very important that they always drive as a vehicle and obey all the stop signs and signals that a car would.
Pedestrians, what problems do you see there?
A lot of times at dusk or early in the morning when the lighting is bad, if they're wearing dark clothing, you don't always see them. So it's important for pedestrians to always wear bright clothes, jog on the sidewalk when available, and always be conscious of the cars and bicycles as well that may be coming towards them.
Now, of course, over the years we've had a number of accidents in and around JMU regarding pedestrians.
We have, when students are back, not just college, but also high school, middle school, there's a lot more foot traffic. So it's very important to always cross in the crosswalks and use the cross signs when you're walking as a pedestrian. And it's also important for the drivers to be aware of the heavy foot traffic and to always be watching out for the pedestrians as well.
Anything else as far as drivers being aware, but other precautions or things they need to do?
It's really important to not use distractions. As of July 1, there's a new no texting while driving law. That's certainly to decrease distractions. Don't talk on your cell phone if you can avoid, if you absolutely can't. But it's really important to decrease the distractions and pay more attention to what you're doing.
What about riding on sidewalks? You say that cyclists are supposed to act like a vehicle. I had somebody tell me that, like, she used to, in another area, always drive on the sidewalk because a lot of times it's not safe to drive on the road. It's safer on the sidewalk. Can you do that in Harrisonburg?
There are some areas of the city where you can drive. Downtown, they do not permit, it's not permitted to drive on the sidewalk if you're driving a bicycle. And that's because of the increased foot traffic, and also the road is, there's not quite as much space for vehicles and stuff. So downtown is not allowed for you to drive your bike, but other areas of the city it is.
Now, there's also, I guess, what would you say were the biggest mistakes that you see in these interactions between cyclists, drivers, and pedestrians?
The biggest, again, is with the bicyclist, one moment acting as a vehicle and the next minute acting as a pedestrian. It's very important that they always drive as a vehicle and obey all the stop signs and traffic laws. And same with pedestrians. They should, most of the intersections in the city have the timers for pedestrians, and always follow that and cross at a crosswalk. Now,
what about, generally there's a guideline about how riders should ride and how walkers should walk. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, it's always been a rule of thumb. You bike with traffic and you walk against traffic, and that's to make yourself more visible to drivers.
Okay. Some rules as far as helmet wearing in Harrisonburg people should know about.
Yes, anyone 14 years or younger is required by city code to wear a helmet when riding a bike. And that's really for their own protection, and it's important that children do that for accidents. That can certainly happen anytime, and we want them to be safe.
That's 14 years and younger?
Younger, yes.
No, including 14?
Correct.
Okay. Now, what about mopeds?
That's when you get a little bit different. You have to be 16 years old to drive a moped, and that requires a different type of helmet that has to be approved by the Division of Motor Vehicles. So you can't just use a regular bicycle helmet if you are driving a moped or a motorized scooter.
All right, very good. Mary Hope Gangwer with the Harrisonburg Police Department. I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Now let's send it to Mel in Stanton.